All right, well, thank you. This is what you've seen before. For the most part, this is what you had at the workshop as well back in September. We presented this last week. I did make a few modifications from last week, had a little clarification, things that we needed to take care of. I'll address those as we get to them, but overall substance, it's mostly the same. Project background. Of course, you can see where while the city population has increased 28% since 1990, and of course the incorporated area has increased 29, almost 30%. Growth continues, and of course with that we expect government services to increase, and with that, of course, you have your facilities, and they age. You start to have more staff, they overcrowd, and deterioration. And we expect this situation to become more acute as time goes by. And the master plan was developed to contend with this. And it's not only to solve the current issues that we might have, but also the future issues. And the goals and intent of this, to validate and upgrade, integrate. I'm sorry, it's getting late already. Integrate the selected findings, and of course count for the city's growth and estimate our current and future buildings and space needs, and document to aid the city in our budgeting and scheduling and administration of these projects through our current and new CIPs, and assure the future projects are planned in conjunction with the plan, the 20-year facilities vision plan. The intent is to provide an analysis of all city facilities to determine which ones the city should retain and dispose of. And as you saw in your packet, there is some of that. Facility retainage, the forecast of our growth, our staff growth, as well as our space needs, and what sequencing we would need with that. The caveats of this particular plan, as you know, this has been going on for, well, basically 3 years now. Through that, we've had different authors. We've had different just fixes to this, different approaches to it. There could be some confusion regarding the full-time employee numbers, as even part-time staff, seasonal staff take space, so they had to be included in this. And also, this document is based on needs, and it's understood that the realities of funding can dictate the constraints of where we go in the future with this. The team involved LCA Architects and DSA out of Boise, as well as some the elected officials and city staff. And the scope of the project was analyzing the city organizations, develop our staffing forecasts, our departmental space needs, what our existing facilities are, and what capabilities we presently have, and also conceptual facility plans with proposed options and a cost estimate for those options. The staffing trends, as you might expect over time, it is expected to increase. You can see this goes from 1993 to 2033. Just following the history that we've had. Population increases, so does the staff. Sorry about this particular slide. Extremely busy in your packet, but as you've probably already looked at this, it's quite interesting. It shows the forecasts per department and the different divisions, as well as the space needs.
Excuse me, if I may, could you back up to the staffing and population to that graph? That is not the same graph that's on section 3, page 3. Is it supposed to be? Or even similar?
This particular graph was put together by the consultants purely for this presentation.
Which one?
Which
Just
one,
the
what?
one in the book or the one on the screen?
The one on the screen.
So why would it be different?
I don't know that answer off the top of my head here, Walter.
I mean,
This
Looks
is-
like page 2, actually, rather than page 3 is what it's, that's the same graph, isn't it? Well, they're
Well,
the one
no,
on
it's
three?
different, Dan.
two's
You
of the
got
same.
Two only goes to
five
2013.
bars compared to 9, yeah. One thing that is kind of interesting, though, Dwight, on this page, the page that Walter's referring to, section 3 of page 3, it's got the population increase from 2013 to 2033. Whoever come up with this report is a 35% increase, when the prior 23 years, we had 28.5. I don't know how they got another 7.5% or 6.5% in 3 less years. I mean, that was a little bit confusing to me how they came up with those numbers, but
And they also have the chart legends switched, where this one shows the bars as being population. but
That's
in the
why it's
book-
different,
Is
Walter.
that why it's different?
That's why it's
But in the
different.
book, it's the line that's the population. They are not maintaining consistency in their identification of the data on the graph.
Yeah, I see it now.
But the population's at 175 on the book,
But it's the purple line in the book, not the bars.
which takes you to 175 in,
Yeah, looks right.
in the book. Okay, population reading it. Oh, and they've changed the scale, too. That's
Yep,
what it is.
Yep.
It's not just the fact that the bar and the line are switched, the scale is switched.
Somebody needs to beat the consultants for detail attention. I think
This is the same information we've shown you for the last however many months. And
information's
but it's,
there.
And it's still not
there. Well, there's not been a problem with it from you before. So I did not look into this any further from the
But-
past
But
presentations either.
it's every time we look at it, we seem to find something else that's a little questionable. I think I understand why the two are different. I think I'd have to really work at it to confirm that the data is correct on both, but the scale is different, and what's represented by the bars and the lines are different. But when you put it, when whoever puts it in the book in one fashion, and then it's put up on the screen totally in a different fashion, I'm not going to apologize for questioning it.
no. Well,
Thank you.
go ahead and continue, Dwight.
Okay, here you can see the building inventory and how that's broken out. Has the administrative and general government, the operating and infrastructure, community facilities, public safety, and parks and recreation. And here is your efficiency scales. You can see used and unused ratios within the different areas. Any questions on that? Okay. Using the existing building inventory, you have your deficits going out to 2033. The slide shows the building square footage needs by function. As you can see by the color codes there, how that's broken out, and it goes out to 2033 as well. General government, basically, does increase, but just barely. The recreation, building and grounds remains pretty close to the same, but public works and public safety increase. And this slide just shows the difference of where we're at now, where we would be in 2033 and any deficiencies and what kind, the percentage of change that would need to take place to bring us up to where we need to be at that point. And we have 2 slides here with the primary areas with the pros and cons of what's there now. Of course, the police station, the pros being the location, it's owned by the city, it could possibly be more efficiently developed, and more opportunity for swing space. Of course, there are cons. There's limited parking there. It's an aged infrastructure and no expansion options. It might be better for commercial activities, and it's an inefficient layout. City Hall, one of the changes to this document from last Friday is the focus is on, for one of the options, is on the basement. But the building itself, the pros, it's a historic building. Its proximity to downtown is really good. Space utilization could be enhanced, as we are presently doing on the 3rd floor now. Substantial site for annex and is established downtown location. Everybody knows where it's at. The cons to it is, like with most things down here, there's limited parking. It's aged infrastructure, expensive remodeling, and displacement during construction and code compliance issues. It's an older facility, and a poor net gross ratio. City shops, if you've been down there, it's really obvious when you get there. The pros is a significant site, but it has lots of redevelopment options there. The cons is the facility is in poor condition. It's limited expansion options for extending buildings and code compliance issues. The Mann building, of course, the pros to this is its downtown location, just like City Hall, proximity to City Hall, established location, and substantial site for annex. And the cons, limited parking, aged infrastructure. You see some of these same issues everywhere. Expensive remodeling and displacement during any construction. And the Magyar building, of course, we rent that or lease it. The pros to it, it's adjacent to the water, proximity to downtown, and it's ideal for commercial use. But the cons to that, has poor interior utilization, limited expansion options, aged infrastructure, does not need to have significant visibility, location adjacent to the wellheads, and minimal parking and poor poor net to gross ratio. And those considerations were taken into account to come up with our proposed solution and phasing plan. The first one is to construct a new police facility. Still to be determined is the location, and possibly vacate the existing police station. Phase 2 would be, or option 2 would be, build a new office annex at city shops, and we have a couple of options for that. Construct a new office building at the Mann site, or Mann building, and also remodel the City Hall